Hello again and welcome everyone. Again, this is Jason Lehman, Marketing Team Lead at Fishbowl Solutions. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to dive right in and discuss what we learned at Oracle OpenWorld 2018, including Web Center updates and a little bit on the innovation that Oracle has recently been working on. I guess you'd say recently, it's been about a year now with the digital assistants. Happy to be joined by President of Fishbowl Solutions, Tim Gruidl. Welcome, Tim.
Welcome, Jason.
And the big reason we wanted Tim, as the president of the company, to speak on this webinar is Tim spent a lot of time at OpenWorld really meeting with Oracle WebCenter product managers and other Oracle executives, because he really wanted to come back with where's WebCenter going, where's it at today, where's WebCenter going, and then share that with all of you. So today we're going to talk about, Tim will kick it off and give you a little overview for about who Fishbowl is, what we do, and why we're different. Then we're going to jump right into what we feel is probably why most people are here, and that's that Web Center Roadmap section. We're also going to talk a little bit about OCE. So what had been known as Oracle Content Experience Cloud, now Oracle Content Experience, kind of giving you some differentiated positioning there when you compare portal and content with OCE. Tim will then talk about chatbots and digital assistants, and we'll do a summary and questions at the end. So a couple of housekeeping notes quickly. This webinar is being recorded. Everyone that did register will get a link to the recording within 2 days. And if you do have a question during the webinar, use the Zoom interface to ask your question, and then we'll see those at the end, and we'll go through each one of those questions and try to answer them in the time allotted. So with that, I'm going to turn it right over to Tim.
Okay, welcome everyone. We have quite a bit to cover today, so I'm going to try to do my best to get you the information that I thought was most pertinent from all the events at OpenWorld, and give you that opportunity to provide some questions. There is a lot to cover, so some of the items we've included in here are included just because then you can have some of the materials after. So to start with, just quickly on Fishbowl, and many of you have registered we've been working with for a long time, but our passion and focus has all been around helping companies solve these costly, frustrating knowledge sharing problems. So it's getting access to the information, structured and unstructured in your organization, and making it more accessible. So that's historically been around Web Center Content and Web Center Portal. We've also been doing a lot of work with Oracle OCE now. So just get used to OCE, which is Oracle Content Experience, formerly Content Experience Cloud. Mobile apps, and the new virtual assistant, digital assistant, which is the kind of the next wave in the IT space. And then also a lot with enterprise search. So we've done a lot with Google, both from an appliance standpoint, and now they've released a cloud-based offering. And then there's an on-premise search appliance that we have integrated with Web Center called Mindbreeze. So we have a number of options to, again, help facilitate that access to the information from your enterprise systems. So key goal for today is to help provide, with the number of customers we have and the experience we have, a lot of our customers have been saying, what is the status of Web Center? So really try to hit a lot on that. Part of that roadmap as well as, what are some of the options depending on your business requirements and use cases. So what are Oracle's options in that area? And, within that context is, running it in the cloud. So to start out with, within the Web Center roadmap, there's a lot of our customers aren't really necessarily aware of Oracle's kind of lifetime support policy. So essentially, and if you go look at this link here, which you'll get access to later, but that link will talk to you about how Oracle basically has to commit to providing, like 8 years of service after the final release. Okay, so, and within that service, there are things and questions that customers came up to us about, will they provide security patches? Will they provide database patches? Will they support new versions of, call it, Office? So a lot of those things are definitely all part of what Oracle is required to do as part of their lifetime support. certain things will vary, and certain things will be based on customer feedback. So one of my requests will be, and I'll talk to you about a little bit, will be ensure you're providing feedback to Oracle so they hear what your requests are. So as it is right now, WebCenter 11G, is supported with extended support through 2021. Once you get to 12C, that's now supported through 2025. So for those of you who have, big environments, you don't have to worry that, while Oracle's putting most of their effort into OCE, they still, have a platform that you're not going to have to worry about is going to, not get patches and not get security things and whatnot. Okay. So, but this link really has a very extensive document on the legal requirements that Oracle is committing to. So you can check that out, but know that that you're not going to be left high and dry with all these security issues that have been going around, have caused a lot of our customers some concern. You won't have to worry about that. The other thing that a lot of people weren't aware of, and I guess I'll take 1 second here quickly. So, about a year and a half ago, a guy named Christopher Stone came in and took over product management for the Oracle WebCenter stack, or the content experience stack. So under that, he's now fully in charge of all marketing and development resources for all the products under here. So Christopher Stone which was different than before, where they had a divide on who was responsible for what. So that has been one of the big changes and big drivers. But one of the things I talked to him about and some of their product team is some of like the latest releases, they just have had a gap in what they were communicating to customers as far as, when 12C became generally available, the survey shows about half people are on 12 and half people are before. So a lot of those 11 customers aren't even really aware of what came out with the 12C release. So kind of a highlight on some of those areas on the content side. They released an ADF-based UI. So they built a new UI to go ahead and surface up kind of better access and better contribution and better consumption. And I'll show a screenshot of that. They also built into it, enabled the ability to do some annotations. So a lot of customers might have, PDFs in the repository, and they wanted to be able to go ahead and mark those files up or highlight them or, redact. So some of those capabilities are available. Some other things that were in there are, not a lot of our customers were using it, but some of them were. Transcoding of videos. So for some people that have videos, you can actually store those, and it'll go ahead and transcode those as kind of the typical refinery process. So those are some of the bigger highlights that came out with the 12C GA. And then continuing on with content, in August of 2017, the 12.2 family came out, and not a ton of new features, but some of the URM was more integrated, because prior to that, some of these applications like URM or imaging were separate standalone servers, and they wanted to kind of reduce the complexity of the environment. So if you wanted to go ahead and do some more records management right within the core content server, that stuff was now much more integrated. And then they added some more, within the annotations, they added the ability to modify them, because prior to that, if you created an annotation, it was locked in and you couldn't modify it. So on the imaging side, the capture, the scanning piece, the capture piece, and the imaging server, key driver is that was now consolidated. So prior to that 12C release, imaging had to be installed separately and was a separate instance. They also enabled the ability to do some more attachments, to do some search, and do some more viewing of non-native files. The August release, just again, some little enhancements around improving the skin, The annotations were supported, and now annotations, instead of being tied right into the file, they were kind of more treated as attachments. And again, some other, kind of operational support things, not again, a ton of new features. So back to that content, when we talked about the Alta or the ADF UI, up on the bottom is your, same old UI that's basically been around for 15 years. They went ahead and built an ADF UI up here on the top where you can now view thumbnails, you can view the metadata and the security and some other things all right within that interface. So, and if I had it interactive, you come over here and you've got other capabilities like, again, the annotations and whatnot. So that was one of the big enhancements. To the annotation portion, this is kind of where you now are given an annotation button, and then you can go ahead and actually create annotations in here. And those annotations, have kind of some audit history. So it's a nice capability for, again, a number of use cases, not for everyone, but it was one of those situations where customers that are really using this as an enterprise platform, annotations came up a lot. As far as some of the other things that will be coming or will be prioritized based on need, a lot of our customers, I was going to have another poll question, but we don't have enough time, would be Office 365 and how many people are using Office 365. So we were talking to product management over the last couple of days. The prioritization of that is going to be heavily based on customer feedback. So the more you can do to provide feedback to product management, and we can go ahead and get you some contacts after this. If you're interested, we can go ahead and share that information. Other conversion engines and supporting of those are also things that are, prioritized based on needs. So we have some customers that use InDesign to convert. And so there's some different ways to go about handling that or prioritizing that based on customer feedback. Another thing has been the ADF UI, and the first release of it didn't support things like digital asset management. So it had some great capabilities, but not all of the back-end services were supported. And so, they're continuing to kind of add some more features to that, like accessing digital asset management if you were using that. And again, a resource that I'm oftentimes a little surprised that people aren't necessarily aware of, but Oracle has done a pretty good job at putting out some good documentation. So here's a link, and they have documentation on a lot of the different versions. So it's a great resource to go to find out what some of the key features are, what some of the release notes are, and it really kind of walks you through, some ebooks and release notes and full product manuals and materials on it. So again, as the enterprise provider, they need to make sure a lot of that document's there for some of their contracts, so they do a really good job at giving that information. So definitely very important to go look at that. Okay. On the portal side, there's back in the 12C release of Portal, they spent a lot of time in 12C making it a lot more mobile friendly and mobile responsive. So prior to that, they had a lot of ADF kind of constraints that didn't make it easy to make kind of mobile portals. So that was key. They also went ahead and added some more WYSIWYG editing capabilities. So if you had, some content presenter flows, you could do more WYSIWYG editing. A critical thing for a lot of our customers that tend to be heavy Oracle, having better integrations with the rest of the systems is also kind of a key piece. So like identity and access management and having that more supported was a really important one. And then they also have the content UI embedded. So that was, again, back a couple of years, but those were all key things for 12C. And then with the 12.2x releases, they were doing a lot more to make it a lot easier to deploy. And then this is when they started to incorporate the hybrid concept where they have some integration widgets to be able to integrate with CEC, Content Experience Cloud or OCE, so that as you're building out a portal, within Portal you can store content in the content server, you could store it in the portal database, but a lot of people now wanted to integrate it with a cloud repository, so they spent a lot of time to make sure that those products coexisted, and they'll keep enhancing that. Here's some screenshots on some of those capabilities. So, a lot more support for, some of the latest Bootstrap, and the HTML5 capabilities. So that's been a big driver. Ease of use, so they gave them a lot more permissions and roles so that they could delegate down. A lot of people using Portal had, kind of departmental sites, and so they wanted to make sure that they could delegate down some more granular roles. The portal management was a key piece, propagating assets between different portals and making sure that as you move between environments, that happened. More auditing of your deployments so that you had a little better history and auditing on that. And then they, over here, spent a lot of time just to make sure that it was deployable in the cloud. So we can talk a little bit about that next. So same kind of thing. This is all on the on-premise portal release notes. So again, another great resource to go look at and kind of get all the same information that you got with content. Now talking about roadmap. So these are some of the things that are out in the current release. So for those of you not on it, and those of you that have been around for quite a while, one of the biggest issues has been the Java applets that you needed to maintain the content server. So with the 12.2.1.3 release, they replaced those Java applets with a JNLP, approach, so that now you don't have the same Java security issues that you had before, so you can maintain your system, and that was a key thing. And then there's a number of capabilities that they built in on the imaging side. Okay. On Portal, some of the key things they did were making the migrations easier, so you could do some data differential migrations, 12c. They also have included Elasticsearch in there. So there was some search. Prior to this, they were using Secure Enterprise Search or SES Search for Portal. And that product had been end of life for a while, so they replaced that with Elasticsearch. And then they also did a bunch of tooling so that they could have an actual platform as a service version of Portal. So going forward, some of the product management roadmaps, there is going to be a 19C release. So 19C is going to be coming out, safe harbor statement is going to be coming out a little bit later this year or in Q1 calendar year 2019. Some of the key things with that will be like they put Elasticsearch in Portal, they're going to be putting Elasticsearch in content, and they're going to make it multi-threaded. So those of you who have big content server repositories know the pain of the reindex. We've got customers right now that are planning on certain upgrades over the holiday season because they need to be down or inaccessible, and that's the best time to go take a 3 to 5 day window to go reindex. Content is also going to be supported on, certified to run on Oracle's infrastructure as a service. And then a key thing, again, if you have a lot of content, is you can integrate it with this kind of storage cloud service so that you can have a lot more storage, and then you can even start to do things like have kind of retention management within that, within the storage cloud service, so that you can cut your costs for storage. They're also going to be having a migration utility I missed the OCE here, to migrate to certain content to Content Experience Cloud, or OCE. And then they're working on, having a lot more REST services enabled. So, right now you do a lot of stuff with IDOC, and they're going to have more REST services enabled for it, so that you can be more of a kind of tied into the roadmap, more of a content hub. So. Portal, some of the key things there, they're going to keep expanding the search so that you can start to maybe try to index other repositories, because the back end is Elasticsearch, so they're going to work to make that a little more extensible to try to index other sources. Spend a lot of time, again, with Portal having so many integration points. They need to make sure that they're putting a lot of effort to get all those things certified. So again, like I mentioned before, identity and access management is a key thing that with portals, you got to make sure those certifications are in place and all that testing has been done. They'll have the OCE content connector to Portal. So within Portal, you can go ahead and just, like right now, when you use like a Document Explorer to go pull content from, they'll have a CEC or OCE connector right within Portal. And then they're working on a zero downtime upgrade. So making that a lot easier to go upgrade. On the imaging and capture side, they're doing a lot there. So first piece is going to be allowing you to, from a capture standpoint, so I don't know how many people are using the scanning and the Oracle imaging in the capture piece, but you'll be able to store that into OCE. So take your scans or emails and then store those into OCE. So that's coming along with extracting data from forms and OFR. They're going to make the PDFs a lot higher fidelity. So those of you who know Content Server, the inbound refinery, you get the option to do native conversion, or you can use the outside-in OIT technology. Well, there's been a lot of enhancements to that over the years, and they just haven't replaced that. So they're going to use that to make the PDF conversions just look a lot better. The AP portion of it, integrating with kind of the AP accelerator. So they're going to improve that and make it a lot easier to upgrade, and making it easier to print, from the imaging side, printing multiple documents from a search. So those are some of the key roadmap items. Again, I can't stress enough that the new product management team that's been put in place has spent a lot of time getting the OCE roadmap going, but which was apparent at OpenWorld, they had a partner and a customer advisory board meeting, and they're much more interested than some of the prior people to really get customers engaged. So if you're interested in getting involved, we can make sure that we get you on the list and get you involved with that. Another key trend, obviously, that many customers are facing, and a lot of our customers is they have, whether it's a cloud-first strategy or whether it's a strategy of, hey, on the next hardware refresh, let's go look at the cloud options. So I was really impressed when I looked at it and understanding Oracle's cloud roadmap, and I do have a lot of presentations from the different sessions I can also share, but Oracle has really put a huge investment in their cloud infrastructure. Obviously everyone out there knows about Amazon and their cloud infrastructure, or Microsoft with Azure. Google's got a great cloud infrastructure, IBM. So, but Oracle, when you took a different approach, and they hired some of the lead engineers from both Amazon and Microsoft, and they came out what they really tout, as their, Gen 2 cloud infrastructure. At first I kind of thought, okay, great, it's just marketing pitch. Well, when I sat in a bunch of sessions about it, they actually have some significantly different architectural approaches for certain use cases where the price performance is better than the AWS and Azure. The other key thing that came up is they have a lot of a lot of effort in certification. So, you know, you get that one throat to choke by doing it all on Oracle. So, and another key driver is you know, have that one throat to choke. You can bring your licenses. So if I go to this, when you look at the different options within Oracle's cloud infrastructure approach, there's a lot of options. One of them is this is kind of their OCI or Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, the bare metal. So you can basically, you know, stand up effectively bare metal server at a very cost competitive price. I mean, the numbers they talk about are significantly cheaper and faster performing than obviously their competitors. So that's really important. Other things are they allow you to bring your own licenses. So they have a conversion metric to go ahead and, you know, depending on what you're trying to do, to bring your licenses. Another option that some customers are working on is taking, they don't want to go to bare metal, they want kind of more of that virtual machine approach. So that's another option. A lot of customers have gotten stung by Oracle over the years where they've been running internally on VMware, and Oracle doesn't recognize just the soft partitioned processors. They actually license you on the hard processors that are supporting that VMware infrastructure. So a number of our customers have actually migrated to different versions of Oracle's cloud just because of the compliance license issue. So, but it's just a little different approach than going bare metal. Great approach as well. Some organizations we're working with, Oracle offers a JCS, Java Cloud Service kind of platform approach. So that basically is taking the web logic layer and then managing that. So when you go deploy your WebCenter content, WebCenter portal, or imaging, you just deploy it into their managed web logic tier. So it's not going as far as the next one for Portal Cloud, but it's putting more burden on maintaining another layer of the stack than you have now. So you don't have to patch WebLogic or do any of that. Oracle handles all that. Okay. And then last is, and they don't have this offering for content, WebCenter content, but they have it for WebCenter Portal. And that is a full Portal Cloud Service, platform as a service subscription offering. So you can actually take your portal and put it in and migrate it from an on-premise license into a kind of a expense or pay-as-you-go or monthly subscription fees. So you can kind of take capital and put it into expense. But then now you're also putting more of that, offloading the burden of patching and things of your portal from your team onto Oracle. So a lot of different options, and there's a lot of different trade-offs between those options. But Oracle really, you know, again, talked about having kind of the most comprehensive stack, and they're really the only ones that do. There's even an option that I didn't mention here for cloud at customer. So some customers can't put certain things in the cloud, but they want to manage, continue to have their IT staff manage less and less of the layer. Oracle has an option to basically take, call one of their cloud appliances and put it in your data center, and then they can manage it for you. So another option for government customers that we work with tend to do that more, but you know, or in Europe we're running into that as well more. So it's another option. So here's the kind of that highlight of that Portal Cloud Service. You know, you can kind of provision it really quickly. There's a couple of prerequisites, but it's great because it allows for flexible and scalable in and out. So you can go add more compute or take away more compute. Really kind of changing like the way your IT team works, because you're just letting them spend more time with the business and less time having to worry about patching some of the technology. So different roadmaps to get there, you know, and this is kind of what we'll end up doing with organizations, is you can look at how much of it is the customer going to manage, and then migrating that over to more and more Oracle managed. So this is a roadmap we worked on with one customer, and we're in that process. This is that one example where they had WebCenter Portal, basically with a different provider. They were still effectively managing a full, server stack with all of that information, and they didn't have the performance and availability they wanted. Okay, so.
Yeah, I think the big thing there, Tim, you touched on is Oracle's made such a big investment with their Oracle Cloud that this customer that had been running many different Oracle technology applications looked at it as, well, I'm already paying for my system to be hosted somewhere else. I'm not getting the best support. I'm not getting the best service. And the performance is not what I'm looking for and what I need. So why not go to one of the leading cloud providers? So they, knowing that their portal use case was going to stay the same and they were actually looking to expand it, they wanted the same code base and the same features by taking their portal to the cloud, and so they were able to do that.
So OCE, Oracle, formerly CEC, there's, again, this is critical for customers to look at what's the use case, and we always start to talk about what is your use case. WebCenter Content is that enterprise platform to scale anywhere from, thousands of files to tens of millions of files. It has that revision control, the conversion from native to Word, some workflows and approvals, and the full content lifecycle management. So, but it's currently more on-premise, or else moving it to one of Oracle's cloud environments. Portal is really focused on that. Typical use cases are like your intranet, where you're looking to get very secured and personalized access to content. So a lot of the customers we work with are using a portal to have different people in different locations and different roles see different information. So I work for an auto manufacturer. I'm a union employee located in Auburn. I will only see benefits and lunchroom information and anything relating to me, and that's really what that's about. And OCE is really, and you will talk about, is really this whole, they're moving it to be this content hub, to be that kind of unstructured management system for everything. So we'll jump into that a little bit. So this is really the roadmap for OCE, is the syndicated digital repository to manage all these experiences. From smart content creators to providing more centralized governance and deliver better experiences. So there's, again, I'm not going to cover all this, but this is kind of what's been going on with most of the new development efforts. So working on a lot around this headless content, multilingual management and authoring that content, connectors with other, web-based repositories. So again, it's really that content hub to go do that. Creative Cloud connections are really being that example. On the assembly side, they're working to, have worked a lot to build out more taxonomies and metadata. So that was something that in the past WebCenter Content had, OCE didn't. So they're focusing on a lot on that. They're working on certain things with, again, improving Elasticsearch, proxying those assets to content delivery networks. And so a lot of information in there. They're doing a lot around experience governance, so integrating with a lot of other Oracle's stack. So Oracle's SaaS application, so they'll have pricing. So if, for example, you use Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, they'll have special pricing for that. GDPR has hit everyone, no matter who you are. So that was a lot to make sure that could be in compliance with that. And continuing to go forward, they'll be doing more site governance and management, faster provisioning, more SOC and PCI compliance, ISO and HIPAA compliance. So again, they're continuing to move this so that it can support all the back end, really be that true hub for your organization, so that you can then look at your WebCenter content use cases and map it to these roadmaps and look at what portions of that content you'll be able to start to migrate over into the cloud-based environment. Also, depending on your Oracle footprint, if you're running Responsive or Maximizer, they'll have integrations with that. They're doing more site analytics, so that's coming and integrating with Google's analytics or Adobe or the Infinity Analytics. So just giving you a lot more insights into where the assets of your organization are being used, so you can have the right life cycles on them and not just continue to buy more disk and keep expanding your world. So that was a summary of that. A couple of, probably the other big interesting thing that relates to us and a lot of our customers is around digital assistants. So a lot of people are getting familiar with them when they think about like Siri, or Alexa, where you're now having a kind of a virtual assistant or chat bot to get you access to information. So if you use Alexa, a lot of people are just, checking on orders, checking on weather, doing pretty basic skills. That whole consumer experience is now really translating into the corporate experience. And so we really jumped on it because for us, while Portal was a web interface to get access to content, that next experience was around the digital assistant. Oracle has really taken a lead in this market space. So, digital assistants throughout your organizations can be used from employee onboarding to IT service help desk. We're working with a lot of companies on, getting better automated access to keep your costs down and streamline, make 24/7 your IT help desk support for, resetting passwords or getting software provisioned or whatnot. A lot around external customer support. So we've got 2 big projects that are going live next week for retailers to help deflect a lot of their access to FAQs for their websites that right now go to like live chat or phones. So a lot of use cases. It's really going to be the next big transition in the market. All the key players are getting into it. So if you're not talking about chatbots in your company, you will. So, and Oracle literally just released the next version of their platform yesterday. So we'll be having another session on that coming up. But literally every call we're in with every company, someone in the organization is talking about chatbots or digital assistants. So just get aware of it. Again, we wanted some content in here so you can look at it, but there's just a lot of different use cases on that. So quick summary for the day as we're ending with some time. WebCenter is alive and well. It's going to be supported, so you don't have to worry about running into a compliance issue or security issue. All that stuff supported, and that's one of the benefits of being on an Oracle platform with the lifetime policy. There's a lot of different roadmaps that are coming, and where you're going to fit from on-premise to cloud to OCE will vary based on your use cases. So.
All right, great. Well, we don't have any more questions. Again, I want to thank Tim for his time. Tim has been nice enough to provide his contact information. If you want to follow up with Tim directly, feel free to do that. Any other information regarding Fishbowl, as well as what we covered today, we'll be providing that. We also did want to include some helpful links. There's a lot of great content at OpenWorld, obviously. You did not need to be an attendee to view that content now, so all the presentations that were given at OpenWorld have been uploaded. So you can click any of those links right here, and again, this will be in the presentation that follows after that we send out. But go out and see what else is out there. I've included a few helpful hints here to search for content via WebCenter, Content Experience, or OCE, as well as digital assistants and chatbots. So again, we want to thank everyone for attending, And look for more information about some of those other topics we covered on in future sessions. We are planning a session specifically on Oracle Content Experience, as well as more on digital assistants. But until then, we wish everyone a great day. Thanks again.